Let's take a look at the basic mechanics of the suspension. So suspensions are what we're dealing with when we've got these ties into dissonance that then move to consonance by step. The suspension is the primary musical effect of fourth species. We want to use suspensions as much as we possibly can. They're what's interesting and expressive in this species. So a suspension has three phases. Let's look at them. Let's look at two suspensions in the lower voice and in the upper voice. In each case, so three phases, three half notes. So we start with the weak beat half note tied over, always consonants. Consonant. This is called the preparation. I'll label this with a P. So the beginning of that, so the weak beat of the measure, the beginning of that tie, the first of those two tied half notes, is consonant. That's the preparation. Again, consonants. It prepares for the dissonance that we hear on the downbeat. The downbeat is a dissonance of one of a few prescribed types. We'll go through that in more detail in the next video. This whole thing is called a suspension, but within the whole pattern, it's this note that we specifically refer to as the suspension. And if you think about this in relation to what you did in harmony, if you circled a suspension as a non-harmonic tone, it would be the tone that doesn't belong in the chord, or the dissonance in our context here. So we're going to call this the suspension proper, the dissonant note on the downbeat tied into from a consonance. So again, dissonance prepared by a consonance. In the final phase, now remember, dissonance always creates obligation. As soon as we've got a dissonance, we have to deal with it in some way. We can't just do whatever we want out of a dissonance. And we're always going to move down by step. Notice that's what happens here. We move down by step. That's what happens here. We move down by step. Always down. So it doesn't matter. Easy point to get confused here. You might think, oh, is it down in the upper counterpoint and up in the lower counterpoint? No. It doesn't matter whether you're writing upper or lower counterpoint. The resolution of the suspension is always downward by step, always to another consonance. So here we've got our resolution, down by step to a consonance. Down by step to a consonance, called the resolution. And as you see in some of these suspensions, we could do the same thing we could also look at these three notes and say that we have a preparation, which is a consonance on a weak beat. It's tied over into the downbeat, where we have a dissonance, a suspension. That then resolves down by step into a consonance, the resolution. Preparation, suspension, resolution. But in this case, the resolution, now this isn't obligatory, but in this case, the resolution becomes simultaneously the preparation for a new suspension, as it is also tied over the beat. That's referred to as chaining suspensions. So you talk about a chain of suspensions when the resolution of one becomes the preparation for the next.